I'm Janie, and today I'm going to read you one of my favorite books, Dr. Seuss's The Lorax. The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. I'm going to read that again. I want you to close your eyes and really listen to the words, because this is written in such a way that you can picture it and feel like you're there. I'm going to read it again. Ready? At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old Onceler still lives here. Ask him, he knows. So they're telling you, if you want to know about the Lorax, ask the Onceler. And this is where he lives. If you look, you can see a windy staircase and kind of a scary looking house. You won't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffered moof. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you perhaps if you're willing to pay. I can see the Onceler's eyes. Can you see them? I see them up here peeking out. On the end of a rope he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Do you have all those things? I think I have a couple of those things. I have 15 cents, and I have a nail, and I have lots of shells. I don't think I have one from a great-great-great-grandfather snail. But if I could find one, then I could talk to the Onceler and find out about the Lorax. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snub, his secret strange hole in his gruffulous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whispermaphone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slup! Down slups the whispermaphone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a sniggerly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Ooh, that must be a funny sound. Can you pretend that you have that sound in your nose? Can you pretend that you have a sound that smallish bees are up in your nose? That's pretty silly. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Look, the person listening to the Onceler, his face looks very surprised, doesn't it? I would look pretty surprised too if he said that. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the Swami swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. This page is so bright and colorful. Did you notice how it changed? Because now the Onceler is telling the story of what it used to look like. It used to look beautiful. Look at the colors of those trees. I see pink and yellow and purple. And under the trees, I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and they ate truffula fruits. From the ripulous pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. He has an idea. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tufts and I knitted a thneed. I wonder what that is. I don't think I like that he cut down the tree. The instant I finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. "Mister," he said with a sawdusty sneeze, "I am the Lorax, and I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. Am I asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs?" He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. "What's that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft?" Uh-oh, the Lorax sounds very upset. "Look, Lorax," I said, "there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree, and I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses too, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains or covers, for bicycle seats." The Lorax said, "Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed." Uh-oh. So he thinks he's being useful because he found something good and he wants to make something from it. But the Lorax is very upset because he chopped down his trees. But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong. For just at that minute, a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. "You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy." You know, I think sadly that might be true. "I repeat," cried the Lorax, "I speak for the trees." "I'm busy," I told him. "Shut up, if you please." That doesn't sound very nice, does it? But sometimes when people are upset, they say things that aren't very nice. What do you think he could have said instead of "shut up"? Maybe, "be quiet, please," or my favorite, "catch a bubble." I rushed across the room and in no time at all, built a radio phone and I put in a quick call. I called my brothers and uncles and aunts and I said, listen, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch. So they're giving them the directions on how to get there. They're really excited and they want the whole family to come so they can make needs and sell them. And there's the Thneed shop. And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting feeds just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how many businesses did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees in one smacker. We were making Thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. Uh-oh, the Lorax stopped coming because they were chopping down too many trees. Here he comes though, and he looks not happy. But the next week he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who played in the shade of their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round. And my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. Uh-oh. They ate the fruit from the trees, and now that the trees are gone, they have nothing to eat, and their bellies have the crummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I don't think he's being very kind. He's worried about his business growing, but they don't have any food. Which do you think is more important, the business growing or them having food to eat? I meant no harm, I most truly did not. But I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads. I biggered my wagon, I biggered the loads of Thneeds that I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more Thneeds, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. True, you do need money to do some things, but I don't know if it's more important than people having food. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax, he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled. He snargles and sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a cruffulous croak. Onceler, you're making such smugulous smoke. My poor swami swans, why, they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in their throat. So all that pollution, that means all the yucky stuff that's coming out of the factory, is keeping the swans from being able to sing because it's making their throats all yucky. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you smoggled up here. So now that's 2 things that had to leave the town, right? First, the barbaloots left, and now the swami swans left. It's pretty sad. Everyone's leaving. What's more, snapped the Lorax, his dander was up. let me say a few words about gluppity glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making gluppity glup, also sloppity slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old onceler man, you. Uh-oh, the Lorax is gonna tell him. Look at all that goop. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. Now that's 3 things that had to leave. Now they have to go too. Did you notice how all the colors in the book are getting darker? Remember how beautiful it was with all the bright colors of the truffula trees, and now they're gone and everything's dark. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap, and say, bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering, and biggering, and biggering, and biggering, turning more truffula trees into thneeds, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall. It was the very last truffula tree of them all. Now they're all gone. No more trees, no more thneeds, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts, everyone all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke, smuggered stars. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was my big, empty factory, the Lorax and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad, sad backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a tree. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day since then, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. See, the Lorax left that, and it has that one word, unless. Do you know what that might mean? But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He let something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds. And truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula and treat it with care. Give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. He got the last seed, and he has the chance to build everything all over. And now that he knows what happened with the Onceler, he knows he's going to do it much differently. The end. So if we think about the message that the Lorax left for the Onceler wasn't sure what it meant right away. But then when someone came to ask about the trees, he knew. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. And that's a really great quote from this book. And I use it all the time in everyday life for all sorts of things. And it reminds us that we all have to care a whole awful lot, right? Because they say someone like you. So that's you, all of you watching this video. Unless you care a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. We all have to care. So today on Earth Day, I want you to do something that shows that you care about the earth.